It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, welcome, and we'll see who all shows up this afternoon. I am clicking on stuff, and maybe I will eventually figure out what I'm trying to click on here. All right, and now I gotta go find it again. All right, so we're going live. Talk about Red Dawn, I guess, and some other stuff. Since I'm here, I might check out the comment periods because why not? Let's see. First, I guess we'll jam this over here and screen share, so we have something to look at, or you have something to look at. There you go. And we'll get rid of me. Hopefully I still have audio. Let me know. It's Red Dawn week. That means this week in 1984, the movie Red Dawn came out. And unfortunately, I guess, for y'all, most of y'all don't even know what Red Dawn is, I guess. So that's cool. It's your right to be ignorant or like unaware of stuff. But I figured we'd go live and chat a little bit about it. And Q&A. If anybody wants to ask questions about it, then feel free. I think in order to have something to look at, I'm trying to open up my Dropbox over here, and I'm trying to figure out how to get in here and click on something. I wonder if my browser history would have gotten me in here quicker. And then I got to remember what all folders I found it in. So Red Dawn came out in 1984, and then the internet came around a couple of years later. And somewhere around 2000 something, I figured out, oh, wait a minute, I can take pictures off of internet things or like off of movies and put them on the internet. So I started doing that a little bit. And if these will open, I guess it's all right to bring these out over here like this and look at them like this. They're just gun pictures after all. So that's one of the guns from Red Dawn that's up at a gun shop here in Arizona that has it for, you can just shoot it. Well, maybe we'll do it this way. That's a lot easier. Okay. So I've got a bunch of stills in here from the movie, and it looks like a couple of the ones from that gun shop. So that is one of the guns from the movie. It is a Finnish Valmet that has been made into full auto, and then modified quite a bit to make it look like an RPD. No, make it look like an RPK, which would be like the long squad version of an AK. Still an AK, not an SVD or nothing, but just the longer, heavier duty version of the AK. And they used them in the movie, dressed them up like, kind of like, right? And then used them. And then after the movie was made, they used them for a couple other movies and TV shows and things. And then eventually the company that had them, the prop house or the weapon place, sold them, and individuals bought them. And that's what happened here. And then this individual ended up owning or opening up a gun shop called Copper Star up in Arizona between Phoenix and Flagstaff. So if you're ever driving between Phoenix and Flagstaff, there's a place you can stop and shoot the gun that was from Red Dawn. And it's the gun that Patrick Swayze used in the movie and that Jennifer What's-Her-Face dies with at the end. So this is Zorro when he was old, and we brought him up with us when we went up to check out the shop. We went and checked out the shop one time when we were up there, and then on a Red Dawn anniversary day years ago, we decided to drive the old van up there. So that would have been in 2016, I guess. We drove the old van as a test drive. I'd done something to the van, changed something on the transmission or something, and figured a drive up to Camp Verde would be a good test run for the van. And it was. It broke on the way back and never got fixed again. So it killed the van, I guess, technically. But it was a fun run, and Oro's last run in that van. So we're taking some looks at the screen captures from the movie. So these are screen captures made off of a thing that was like You would hook it up to your TV and then a computer, and then it had like a little interface thing, and you'd buy this thing, and it would be a cord on both ends and hook your TV up to your computer. So these are all in a format that I sucked off of a TV and then cropped a long time ago. So these are bad quality, but it's enough to let us see that what we're looking at here is 308 Winchester primed cases. So this is from the scene where they run into the dude's dad's. Would have been I can't think of his name. It would have been dude's dad's gas station / like hunting shop. They run inside and start grabbing loot, and they grabbed a bunch of prime cases. So for all the reloaders out there, it turns out that behind the scenes there was a whole lot of reloading being done on 308 Winchester in the movie Red Dawn. I guess we can bring this up. Will it stay on the screen if I click on these? Probably not. Yeah, nobody's out there saying anything anyway. So next up is one of the screen captures from one of the very beginning of the movie, where they are showing the teacher kind of explaining, I don't know what he's explaining, Genghis Khan or somebody, and how they used to encircle and then close the circle around their prey. And this messed up picture of some guy riding a horse, shooting a bow and arrow at a dog. What an asshole. So it's a still from the movie. This is the Robert, that's his name. So Robert's dad is the guy that had that gas station. And then this is the little brother, what's his face. So at some point when they had obviously already got some of the Russian gear, so they've got an AK-74 here, or an AK-47 actually, dressed up like an AKM, I guess. And then some Russian winter camo, and then Robert's wearing his field jacket, I guess, but with the sawed-off pump. And this is in the hidey hole. So this is right after what's-her-face runs over and rides up the bike next to the tank, and then they grab her basket and run off with it, and then blow up their tank, and then they run after her. But these dudes jump up out of the hidey hole. So that's awesome scene. Nobody's seen it coming. It was a montage of them getting into it, figuring it out, learning, and being effective, and then becoming a team. So it was a pretty cool portion of it. All this girl did was go in and drop bombs. That was her thing. To, I guess, be pretty, go in, drop a bomb, run out, and get heckled on the way out. So this is some Russian pervert heckling her. She's just trying to mind her business. And then she goes into the Soviet-American Friendship Center, and this is the building that the town had wanted to blow up, I guess, or take down. So they let the movie theater, they let the movie production company blow up the building. At least that's what the people in the town told us when we went there to visit in 2012. So then here's one of your random truck on the side of the road with Wolverines written on it. There's quite a few of these. I don't know why I took these screenshots. Probably to get some of the lettering and to discover some of the stuff. Now, one of the messed up things is this, where it says whatever lake, because this lake is in New Mexico, and the movie takes place in Colorado. So for whatever reason, they didn't cover up that sign, or they just figured people wouldn't make two and two together. So during all the graffiti stuff, that's where this one comes from, and there's plenty of people that have forked that and made things with that logo. You know, it was written all over, but that blue one is the one that everybody uses. Yeah. So these are kind of neat. These are a couple of scenes where they're shooting off ordnance for that montage, really. And it's funny because, like this, here's this kid, and then here's him shooting the thing. So, you know, when you take stills, you get to see everybody doing this. So these are full autos, and they're shooting blanks, but they're still going off in front of these kids. So that is the exact same gun that we've seen at the beginning. I've dropped a mag through this thing in full auto, same one that she's shooting in this movie. Pretty neat. Anybody can go do that. So this is Aardvark, it's the name of the character, holding up the AK, and this is the screenshot that I've done all the patches from. Literally the screenshot, probably. So this one's one that most people grab it only lasts for a moment. You don't get a lot of options. I was able to find this spot. I did find it. Drove out there a couple of times now. It's pretty cool. I think the first time I went out there just to find it, and I forget what the deal was. It was late in the day, or I was doing something, or I was late for something, so I didn't really have a lot of time to spend out there. I was really just trying to find it, and it was further than I thought it was going to be from where I was at. So went back and checked it out years later, a couple of years later, and reconned how to get up there, because obviously they got up there, and I think I figured out how to get up there. So next time I go back, it'll be with time to spend, and we'll go up there and try to get some pictures. So pretty awesome. It was pretty cool to find this place after all the years too. So this is basically in the movie during that montage, pretty much at the end of the montage, when they figured out, the kids have figured out that they're not going to take it anymore, and they're going to do something about it. And they decide to fight back a little bit after their first initial fight that they didn't provoke, and becoming victorious in it, right? Becoming a team and understanding that no one's going to come save them. They eventually went down to the town and got told, no one's going to save us. We're all just complying. It's just better to comply. You know, we got salt on our tails, so we'll just sit here. And they came back up the mountain and went, nah, let's not do that. So they went down there, started messing with the Russians and the Cubans. And then the Cubans and the Russians started being mean to the town folk. So at some point, you could kind of see that all getting stressed out and becoming an issue during the montage. And at the end of it all, they're about to take, well, Aardvark's dad, a bunch of other people's parents, and kill them out in the middle of nowhere. But Wolverines jump up and make that not happen. So this is the end of that, and this is where he screams Wolverines, and pretty much this is the scene. Now here's the deal. How awesome is this? This is here, and that is where this all happened. So this is where I parked the van, where these people are. They filmed this right here, where these guys are up here on the hill. That is where this guy is. I'm guessing. Actually, it's not. It's about halfway up the hill, probably. But this should be findable. All these rocks and these shapes and everything should be findable. But yeah, this is when they've hit their stride, right? They're working together as a team. They're shooting belt-fed stuff and full auto biped mounted, I guess. So you say that size of the small arms, largest of small arms. They're shooting ordnance, and they're doing it effectively. They're taking out the bad guys and saving people already. So this is the scene from the beginning. I don't know. I think we've never been to this place yet. But the sign is fake. I think the sign is probably still wherever it is. I've heard where it is. I just haven't had a chance to go up there and look for it yet. Or it's in Colorado. So that'd be interesting to talk to somebody who's into Red Dawn enough to have been to some of the locations. But this one has yet to be discovered. But this is where it all starts. They're up there minding their business, being scared kids. And then these idiots jump up around here and get killed, basically, accidentally. And now they have a couple of AKs and some uniforms, and they decide that they can do some other stuff. So it's pretty neat when you watch the movie to figure out what's going on here. They make a little bit of a joke about it, but there's a couple of levels. So in other words, the sign here says Arapahoe National Forest, which I don't think there is, which is a thing. Founded by President Theodore Roosevelt under the Forest Service Act of 1905, the forest comprises 40,000 acres of virgin timber, one of the largest stands of spruce in the American West. Park camping facilities closed in winter. Something about camping in designated areas only. Permits required beyond 5 days. Something peak. Something peak 10,000 feet. So that's a lot like what our signs would have looked like back in the day. So they look a little different now. But when the colonel or whoever asked this other guy to read the sign, to translate it, he's saying, like, here was a great peasant uprising and General Roosevelt slaughtered or something, or won victory. So he kind of makes it like a Russian epic BS version of nothing that actually is written on that sign. This is the DVD from back in the day where I probably worked all these things from. This is a part where, oh, this is when they go into town, and they're still dumbass kids at this point, still wearing dumbass kid clothes. They're all wearing the same clothes because they horked them from the store on the way out of town. It's the beginning. One of the things I was thinking about doing a patch or something of, but this I have made a patch of, so that's what we're talking about, Red Dawn, right? And if you go to the Gear website store and go, why would this dude have this patch? How do I close over here? Why do we have this patch? Boom, because of this. So we did it in the correct colors, and then I did it in the wrong colors a couple of times because, well, I'm not. All right, so go back to open that up, and there's a bigger picture of Aardvark standing on the hill and the Yellow Wolverines. This is a picture of when they blew up an airplane. I don't know why I put that in there. This is a picture of them blowing up a armored personnel carrier with a turret on top. This is a video, or this is a picture that was not in the movie of scenes that, I don't think they actually made any scenes here. They just took some stills of this, but because of something happened in a McDonald's somewhere, and they didn't want them using McDonald's in the movie. So I don't know what happened. Something happened somewhere in the world at a McDonald's around 1984, and they didn't want this still in the movie. However, this McDonald's is still there. This sign is gone, but that sign over there that you can see in the background, for all you youngins, this is what a McDonald's looked like in the 1980s, and this was iconic, and they all looked like this. McDonald's was, one of the first to have like consistent branding or whatever like that. It's one of their franchising things. So this was a stable thing back in the day, and now I don't know if McDonald's is iconic the same way. There were fewer brands back then, so it wasn't that big a deal. Like, I don't know if I didn't have that big of personal feelings for McDonald's, but it was interesting to see that they incorporated a big chunk of what would be called Americana into there and got it, in the actual movie. But, it wasn't product placement. And back then it was like the opposite of product placement. Like, we don't want to be in your violent movie. It was probably more of that kind of crap. So anyway, it was never in anything. So the only way you ever got to see the actual pieces like this are from the DVD extras. And I hate McDonald's, so I figured I'd put those in there. This is the first PG-13 movie. So there was none before this. All the other movies were baby movies or porn. And then they decided, instead of making just movies for babies and porn, let's make something called a PG-13, and we'll start with the best movie ever made. And they did. So, I don't know. I guess because there was violence in it? I don't even know. I don't know how old I was, but I was probably around that age. Next is a white version of that. So there's Aardvark, the man, the dude who holds up the AK. And he's wearing that chest rig. Let's keep that in mind. And then this is Danny. He's the only guy that lives. This is Tony. She dies with the AK or the RPK that I shot a mag out of. This is the traitor loser. He shoots 9mm. This is the little brother dies. This is Leah Thompson, the one that lives. She tells the whole story. This is the best dude in the movie. This is the older brother who dies. And then this is The Rock. So this is fake. Everybody knows the sign is fake. Nobody knows what happened to the sign. At least I've never seen what happened to the sign. Would that be an amazing patch? Yeah, it actually would be a pretty cool patch, and you could totally make it. It would look really like that, wouldn't it? Just saying. The Rock, though, is not fake. And they put up the fence around it, and they put this fake thing here, and they put a flag on it. But The Rock is supposedly real and in Colorado somewhere. So that's something that has yet to be determined. Also yet to be determined why this guy has his elbow out like this. I guess it was the style of the time to have your elbow shot off while you were shooting at people. But this is at the end when he decides not to kill the brothers and feelings. And at the end, this is the part for girls at the end of the movie. This is because they just showed a bunch of feelings. They put a bunch of blood in the snow for the rest of us. Also, look at that wicked Mahdi. So these are Mahdis, which are basically, the story of a Mahdi, a Russian factory that was given to Germany and then later given to Egypt. And then later those guns were made to fight the Afghanistanis without markings so that the CIA could have AKs given to the Mujahideen or whatever they're called. And then because of that, a whole bunch of them came over here as semi-auto Mahdi's. Well, Milius was like, I want the closest thing to a Russian AK, and the closest thing to a Russian AK is a Russian AK factory that was given to Germany and then given to Egypt and now makes guns the exact same style as those Russian ones. Let's get some of those. I think he got 13 or 14 of them or some number. And then a couple other AKs of different styles, turned them all into, most of them into full auto, and then used them in Red Dawn, and then they were used in a couple other movies like the A-Team, and then sold to the public. So they were the first PG-13 movie. They were hardcore, wicked, awesome, real AKs, as close as you get to real AKs, turned back into full auto by the director when he could have done what everybody else did, take the handle off of an AR and call it an AK by painting it brown or something stupid. All the other movies of the time were pale, stupid, lame versions of AKs. These were real AKs converted into full auto in 1984. That's pre-86 if you do the math. And not just, hey, we made these awesome guns for this awesome movie and now you'll never see them because some losers in Hollywood own them. No, they were, I think, owned by somebody. They might have been in Hollywood. But then eventually they were sold to people in Vegas, I think, and then sold to everybody else. So, yeah, a bunch of regular, actual human beings own these things. I've held a couple of them now. They're real. They're out there in the world. They're all tracked. People know whose they are and who owns them for the most part. They hang out with each other. Some of them hang out with each other and own the guns from Red Dawn and all those other shows that they were in. The people that own them know what movies their guns were in. So that's a whole awesome part. Then you got this stupid gun that everybody thinks is weird because it's stupid and weird. It's probably a 9mm. But that's a whole other different dumb, weird gun in the movie. See how weird and dumb it is? It's kind of like a fake Uzi. Then here is, wait a minute, is that the Valmet made into an RPK on Jed's back as he's riding on the back of Partisan Rock? What? Yes, that's the same one I dropped a mag out of and that you can go drop a mag out of for money at this place called Copper Star. They don't pay me, but how awesome is it that that gun right there, you can go pull triggers on it right now. You just have to get up off your ass and go to Camp Verde, Arizona, and pay them some money, and you'll shoot an entire mag out of there, or more if you want. Pretty neat, pretty freaking neat. So this is the scene where they gave her that RPK and a grenade. She lays on the grenade. Dumbass Russian comes over with one of the Mahdi's, right? Pokes her in the guts with it, of course, and then explodes. Dumbass. So there's one of the Mahdi's. Does it have a triangle folding stock? I don't know. I don't remember. I can't tell. There's the RPK that I've shot right next to her. This is when Jed is aiming a gun at her face for some reason while he's giving her the grenade and saying how they should have been married or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. That's the girl part of the movie. And then there's Robert dying. This is one of the best scenes when he takes out a hind with an AK, kind of, almost, and also shoots a RPK, a rocket into it, RPG. So Robert the movie is about Robert. Everybody thinks it's about other things, but it's about this dude who grows up, learns, does, and then ends. So here's him riding on a horse. We're eventually going to make that into a patch. Running around with an RPG and an AK, full bore, running at Hinds, Russian flying tanks, basically. There's the Hinds. The story behind the Hinds in this movie is because, again, Milius is awesome. So he had some people make up these Hinds based off of satellite images and Soldier Fortune magazine pictures and stuff of what Hinds look like. And the story goes that they were so realistic that the CIA came by and was like, where'd you get these Russian helicopters at? This is the rocks where me and Bob went. So you can go and stand on these rocks. They're not in Colorado. I'm not going to tell you where they are. You'll have to find them yourself. But me and Bob have been there, hung out there. There's the RPK again. And there's one of the Mahdi's. I wonder what happened to the RPGs. That would be neat to try to find that. Anyway, this is where they're eating grapefruits or whatever right before they get killed. And there's the RPK. Oh, look at that. Another version of the RPK that you can go shoot. So how cool is a movie that's epic and then the remnants, the consequences of that movie is you can go pull triggers on the gun. This is one of the best scenes in the movie where loser trader narc over here is a narc and they take care of business, and there's a girl part in it where there's emotions and blah blah blah. Everybody gets wiser and older, gets hard, and they take care of business. So one of the girls getting hard, shooting I wanted to say a 60, but it's weird looking, so I don't know what it is. I'm not that good. Oh, that's some stupid Russian gun. Is that an MG43 or something turned into something with white stuff all over it? Another part of the movie is they all had to grow up and get hard, right? So they didn't have a bunch of stuff given to them like millennials, right? They had to earn it. So they went out there and killed a bunch of Russians and Cubans and took all their shit. And now and this is one of the best parts of the movie. Instead of just killing people and it's a plot point and they move on and everybody's now become idiots and now has to start over from scratch. This is a real movie written by somebody who knows what's going on. So every time they killed Russians and Cubans, they would take their stuff, and now they had more stuff. So now the Wolverines go from zero to hero. All of a sudden, they got all the kit and all the gear, and they know how to use it. And that's when they start tying up everything with fabric. So back in the day, before there was a bunch of stupid spray paint on everything, you would just tie fabric around your gun, like they did in World War II, and you just killed Russians and didn't worry about paint. This is an awesome, epic scene of the brothers getting ready to do what needs to be done, talking about it. There's a stupid part in the movie where a pilot comes along, and that's the girl part of the movie, so they can fall in love and shit. So this is when they get rid of the pilot and he dies. He gets killed on a tank. Of course, pilots don't know what to do with tanks. So here's a bunch of rockets in the back of a backpack. Put this in here because I know there's a ton of people that like canvas for some reason. There's weird people that like canvas, and there's weird people that like magazines. And then there's the regular normal people that like bayonets, and then there's normal people that like guns. But tons of people collect canvas. So I took some of these stills for those people, because that's actually a pretty epic situation where you got a bunch of RPGs hanging out your back while you're getting ready to... Well, in that scene, they were trying to get the pilot across the battlefield, but he ends up deciding to die instead. So they're like, whatever, why don't we just free everybody in the town? So they do, and they take a bunch of stuff that they've stolen from the communists and the Cubans, and they go down to the concentration camp, which me and Bob have been to. And, well, no, Bob has been there, he just doesn't know it. So if you ever go to this place and you go to the Walmart, you're there. You're basically kitty corner from the movie theater. So the last time I went, I finally figured out where the movie theater was, and I've been right next to the movie theater almost every single time I've been there. So we finally went to the movie. I've finally been to the movie theater. Now I know what this is all about. So they drive a deuce and a half into this movie theater that they were using as the re-indoctrination camp for all the dads, basically. And instead of that, they give them a bunch of AKs and guns and say, go take care of business. Go avenge. So one of the things in the re-indoctrination camp is they're putting up these weird propaganda slides at them. And in this montage where they're blowing up the propaganda stuff, they flip this slide over and it goes down and then it comes back up, and they've written Wolverines on there with a Sharpie or with a marker and with a crayon. So it doesn't come out good as a patch when you try to do it in blue and purple. I've done it. It doesn't look as good. So we did it this time, well, for the first time, in red, white, and blue. So that's the Wolverine's friend thing from when they avenged the dad. And then now you can go grab that over at the store. There's only 3 of them. I made it in red, white, and blue. I'll probably go back to making it in blue and purple eventually. All right, next up. Oh, is there people commenting now? Let's see. So we got some humans showing up here. Good evening. So here's the deal. I don't know how many people are watching. It says 13 people are watching this now. This is Red Dawn week, so every once in a while we'll do like a watching where we watch the movie Red Dawn as a group. And I've offered my Patreons that anybody wants to do it. And I had like 4 votes for like 4 completely remote times during the week. So I don't know if we're going to do a watching. So I figured I'd do this as a sped up version of taking a look at Red Dawn. But if anybody wants to watch Red Dawn, I'm down. I mean, I'll watch it anytime. And ideally go through it, watch it with a couple of people who've seen it and understand the significance of it. Some people who have some connection to the movie, mean something to them, for the youngins, and then explain that to the youngins, because it's wrong for the youngins to not understand what's good. Like, there had to be good movies, like John Wayne movies or something, that our parents liked, and they would have told us about it. We're not doing our job if we don't let them know why this isn't just another movie. Like, this is a whole nother thing. Anyway, so people showing up. It's awesome. You can fire the guns now. Yep. A couple of people too have been in Arizona, and I've been like, hey, and they've gone up there and done it, or at least seen it. Not everybody's pulled triggers, because sometimes they're with people that don't want to and stuff. Anything else about the movie? What do you voted for Sunday afternoon? Right on. So, like I say, if you can get some people together, we'll do it. Nobody said you're a human. We have ways of determining who is human. But in this case, I'm really just doing a summary of the Red Dawn movie. Again, for the youngins, because I don't feel it's right to not hand down good info to the youngins. And each year we do something, and it doesn't have to be the same each year. So this year it's a bit of a summary. So far we're 33 minutes in. All right, and I'm just going through some stills I've taken years ago off of a DVD, I guess. So this is a scene where, on one of the Mahdi's, Robert is putting his kill count, and he's doing that with a butterfly knife. And this is the part where we're just going to go ahead, and nobody's super chatting this anyway. We're going to go ahead and copyright this. You go into stupid YouTube and you write down Red Dawn, all that heat, and then you'll get this scene. And why would they put this in there? So, seriously? Really? Come on. Now we get it. 10 seconds. It took all the way. I had to go all the way down there to get it. So it's a pretty epic scene. And he puts away the butterfly knife. Let's not misunderstand what's happening here.
Heartache's gonna burn you up, kid. Keeps you warm.
All right. Robert just grew up. Robert's hard at this point, and he has just acknowledged it to some older person who didn't dispute it. Boom, he's done. He's graduated. He's now an adult, right? And how many times have we seen a butterfly knife pre-1984? None. And then how many? Well, one time. And then how many times have you seen one put away? Benchmade happened right there. That is why Benchmade exists, because nobody even knew what a butterfly knife was. There was one other movie ever that had a butterfly knife in it, and then this. So you thought you seen a butterfly knife one time, and I can't even remember the name of that movie. And the guy was leaning against a log, and he puts it away, but it was daytime. And he pulls it out and he puts it away in that movie. And then you're like, what happened there? And no one's ever seen that knife before. And then Red Dawn happens, and that reaffirmed that there is such a thing as a butterfly knife. Robert has one. He's using it to make his kill count on the stock of his AK-47, and he uses it to accent the graduation into manhood. Every time you close a butterfly knife, you're Robert growing up. Boom. So that's the significance of this one. I would make this a patch, but I don't think anybody would get it. Does anybody know how many tick marks are on the stock? There's Robert doing something at some point with one of the Mahdi's. This is awesome capture from the hidey holes. So this is a gas station, and you can see that there's the little sign for the gas station, and he's standing right in front of where the tank is, very much. And they stop at this gas station with some stupid Russian tank. They're being jerks and like being obnoxious and perverts or whatever. And then what's her face drives up in a bicycle, minding her business with a basket for her grandma or whatever. And these Russian perverts push her over and manhandle her and grope her and stuff. and then they take her basket of goodies and throw it into their tank, and then she runs off or whatever before she can get raped by them. And then, little do they know, the basket of goodies was an IED. Boom! It blows up and the tank is on fire. So then the Russians and Cubans, whoever they are, get all pissed. They start running after her like suckers. And that's when they figure out that the Wolverines are beyond that. They're playing chess and these idiots are playing checkers. They take them all out in these hidey holes. And that's, again, you're done. Now we have more of the, what do you call it, the montage of them taking out Russians and Cubans all the time. It's possible to know where all of these places are, but I'll bet you they're on the way up to where you find that first initial contact where those Cubans were looking at that sign up at the Forest Preserve or whatever. I'll bet you it's up there somewhere, but this would be pretty tough. I also think it would be pretty tough to find out where this camp was, because I'll bet you the actors don't even know. Milius might know. So anyway, this is the scene where they put this guy in here so that he would fall in, or she would fall in love with him, and then he would bring in info because they were listening to a radio. And if you listen to the beginning of this show, or every show I've ever done for the most part, you get this. Well, maybe not that, but you get this. All right, it'll take too long. You get the chick saying, it's 12 o'clock America, brother, get closer to victory and whatnot. That is from the radio they get. But it would have taken forever to try to convey all that information. So they bring in the pilot as love interest for What's-Her-Face, and then that gives us all the info about what's going on in the world. So basically, while they're over there defending their town from Cubans and Russians, pilot dude comes in and lets us know that basically the whole world is kind of fighting and there's no one to help us, right? I think that's how it goes. And so there's no one going to help us, and we can't afford to just wail on the Russians and Cubans because we got other stuff going on. There's lots of fights happening. And then he says something like, and then 250,000 Chinese are on our side or something. And they go, I thought there was 1 billion Chinese or something. And then he throws his booze into the fire and it blows up like that. And then they all go, because then they know that there was a nuclear bomb somewhere. So this is all conventional war at a time during the Cold War. And that was a whole nother BS, like fake thing, right? Like there was going to be no conventional war. This whole thing was a delusion, was a fantasy that we would ever have a conventional war with bullets. The real war at this point in 1984 would have been a bunch of fat cats pushing buttons and jumping into their shelters, and the rest of us being corpses. So this is all delusion, and you might look at this and go, oh, this is some sort of like perverted like interest in violence or whatever. This is actually like an exploration into how society could bounce back instead of catastrophe, ultimate Armageddon. But this was the piece of that explained that to all the dipwits that couldn't figure that out already. These are the only two that live, are flanking the one who's about to die. Art? I don't know. Then you get the hottest chick in the show. And now she's doing the best scene ever, sitting on a rock with her AK, contemplating, being in love with that pilot probably. Actually, no, so this is before she even sees this. She sees the pilot land. They cut out a bunch of scenes. So, I don't know, something happened to her and she doesn't like dudes. And then she sees the pilot die or crash, and then she likes that dude. So she's got some inner dilemma about being a lesbian or something. I don't understand all the plots of this movie. So the People's Republic, the people of America rise and join the revolution, right? The Soviet American Friendship Center. This whole thing is pretty awesome. This building doesn't exist anymore. I don't know how much of this building is fake to begin with. When you look at it, it looks kind of like a movie set, right? And you know they're blowing it up in a minute. So some of this is fake, and the people in the town didn't really know or care to tell us how much of it was fake, or they didn't know. So it's neat though, and I think we're going to have some of them in here. There's all these crazy posters, and Wouldn't it be nice if somebody who makes posters would make some of these posters for some of us? There's the dudes in the hidey hole with, we talked about before, Robert and dude who dies later. This is right before they jump out of the hidey holes. Can you see where the hidey holes are? Oh, I guess I didn't show you. This is the kid who lives. He's the youngest one, and he doesn't really do nothing except, I guess he grows up and gets hard. And then he's shooting a Dushka, but I don't know what that is. Some kind of German gun dressed up to be a Dushka? I don't know. There's the sisters. There's the dad. See, back in the day, if a bunch of Cubans came over here and took our parents, we'd avenge them. Millennials don't care about that. They would just comply. This is one of the reasons that the movie's good, and one of the reasons that the other thing that they call this sucks butts. In this one, this is fake, super fake. You don't notice it in the movie, how fake that deer is, but the deer's pretty fake. It can't be more of a stuffed deer, but you don't notice it in the movie. You only notice it in this still. This is a still of a moving shot, and you don't notice it. In this one, it's a little hokey, let's call it. You know, it's not like legit or nothing. It's just a thing. But it's a bond between Robert, who's at this point, he isn't even yet. He's just a youngin'. He's a kid. He's nothing yet. You got Jed, who is the father figure, but he ain't, right? He's just a little bit older than them. He's like 2 years older than them. And then you got the brother, who's useless. But he's growing up and learning too, right? I think Robert took the deer. Well, I know Robert took the deer, and Jed's about to run through the ceremony, whatever tradition, really, that him and his brother had done with his parents and uncles and whatnot, right? So it's hokey. It's what it is. And in 1984, right, it was a bit of a nod to where we come from in this country, to the natives and whatnot. However, what they did in the new thing that they called this is horrible. And I've done videos before where you compare. But if you watch what happens in this real Red Dawn, the movie, to what they did in the new one is horrible. It isn't even American. It's anti-American. It's anti-everything. All right, so here's one of the best parts about Red Dawn is in the beginning, they don't know what's going on, and they react, right? There are a bunch of kids scared, running away, reacting, and because nobody else knows what's going on, people facilitate that. So they run up into the hills, and that truck with all this loot that they scored off of Robert's dad, and they're all wearing like the same clothes, like because they only ripped off a bunch of the same stuff off of that guy's dad's place. So they grab all of this stuff, and it's 90% useless. They don't really talk about it in the movie, but you can get that because Milius is such a good director. You get it because of some of the scenery changes and the way that their costumes change, and by understanding what it's like to go camping. So it's so much information is transferred between them freaking out and running out of town and that montage when they all get hard. It is amazing. So if you're not even watching the movie, then you don't even know. But there's a lot of stuff being portrayed in here that is pretty awesome. And I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the same ever again. These are all kids that grew up playing in the streets, and you know how it is. They're not allowed to do that anymore. So this is all byproduct of being raised by parents who were, post World War II, and we weren't millennials yet or whatever. We still didn't think everything was owed to us. So there's a whole thing happening here that's really cool that happens in their transition from being dumbasses to, well, most of them die, but right before they die, they all get hard and figure out what's up. Another awesome part of this movie is the fact that Milius wrote it, and he's not an a-hole or an idiot. So you get Cuban guy, because at first it was just Cubans. Cubans do the invasion. Russians come in to sop up and help later once the Cubans aren't competent enough to take out a bunch of kids. And also the Russians, they're lazy. They're not going to do nothing. They're going to make the Cubans do everything first. So when the first invasion is first happening, Russian or Cuban general guy goes, or Generalissimo says, you go to the sporting goods store, you obtain the files 4473. These will contain descriptions of the weapons and lists of private ownership. Blown away. blown away. This is in 1984. 1984. Remember, 1984 was when we're all having to read, well, we had already had to read the book 1984, the Orwellian thing, right? So this was amazing that this was meta. This was real life being portrayed in front of us. And you know what? Milius didn't tell anybody what in 4473 is, except to say these will contain descriptions of the weapons and lists of private ownership. He didn't sit there and explain for 15 minutes to like dumb it down to a bunch of dummies who don't know nothing about guns. Everybody who knew about guns got more out of this than anybody else who was watching it. Now we go back to the beginning. These are totally out of order, by the way. 600 million screaming Chinamen. Thank you. That's what it was. Big Trouble in Little China had a butterfly knife. What? Let me see. I did watch Big Trouble in Little China, but that's not the movie I was thinking of. (1986). Come on, man. Come on, man. That's 2 years after after Red Dawn. So yeah, Big Trouble in Little China's fine, but it's after Red Dawn. There's all the movies that were made before Red Dawn. There's all the movies that were made after Red Dawn. Red Dawn changed everything. I've seen the butterfly knives in a couple of movies. Oh, come on. You got to get a butterfly knife. If you don't, go fiddle with a butterfly. You have to buy a butterfly knife. Buy a lame one, buy whatever, and then if you like it, buy good ones. But you can't really know a butterfly knife by looking at one or fiddling with it. Most people fiddle with it and think they're going to get cut and never touch it again. But it's like anything. You have to own it to be able to fiddle with it until you get cut a few times and know that you're not going to die, hardly, and whatnot. Red Dawn is like flypaper for gun folks. I don't know. That's my concern, is that people think it's just some kind of dumbass. Like Predator is good. It's a different realm. What's a dumbass one? Like a dumbass one would be Heat. Heat has nothing to offer except for that one scene. Like nobody cares about the movie Heat. All the garbage that happens in Heat is useless. You go watch something else while you're waiting for the one scene. Red Dawn is beyond that in like 17 different levels. So that's the part that I fear the kids are going to think that Red Dawn is just some war movie or something. Yeah, a lot of people had the butterfly knife combs, and then what was the other thing? Bottle opener? So it was something else, or pen maybe. And the problem was they didn't have the weight. So even though they operated like one, they didn't sound the same. They didn't have. No. Yeah. They totally clown it. And just all they do is they made the second one to fuck with the new one, or the real one, the good one. They just did it to say, hey, we hate you and we hate everything you stand for and like freedom and individual liberty and stuff. So let's just make a movie to mock all that, and that's what they did. So this is epic. I really, really, really like this screenshot. I don't know, was this a square body? I don't know what to call this kind of, it's a Chevy, right? It's not my favorite. I don't like short beds, and I'm not a big fan of whatever they call it when you don't have the rest of the body on there. But it just looks so cool, especially with that paratrooper stuff coming down and whatnot. And you can see that triangle folder on here. And what's up with that? Why would they have a full-size rifle with a side folder if he's a paratrooper? I guess because they weren't going to give Cubans cranks. We know that it's because they couldn't modify a Mahdi into a crank, but just interesting. They're about to open up a bunch of the parachute containers with all the RPKs in them and stuff, and that's the first time we get to start seeing the RPK. So this is awesome. So I've been to this school a few times now. This is the school where the whole movie starts. A bunch of Cuban paratroopers jump down, start slaughtering, and everybody freaks out and gets either slaughtered or hauls ass. And the school's all different now. The first couple of times we went there, it was very close to the movie. And then subsequently, they keep locking it down because of fear of kids probably or whatever. So maybe the kids are going to run away, so they put giant fences around it. And then I think it was this last time or the second to last time, there was a giant fence around the whole school. Like every other time, you could just drive up to the school because it's like every other school. There's just you drive up to it back in the day. But then they put this giant fence around the whole thing, so you couldn't drive even into the grounds. And I was sitting there going, dang it, because it, I just like to go over there. I've been there like 3 or 4 times already. And I noticed that everybody was like picking up their kids for soccer or something. Like everybody was in there doing stuff. So I'm like, they're never going to know if I'm supposed to be here or not. So I went in there one last time, but it was boring and there was everybody running around. And I verified that the place, I don't know if I got a picture of it in here, but the scoreboard is still there, but you can't see it because there's so much other stuff. They probably just left it there because it's like history, but they don't use it. So back in the day, if 2012, before that, you could have gone there and the school would have looked pretty much the same. I've been on this road before. I did a show with Yankee live from this road. So this road is where the initial gas station was set up. It's fake. It wasn't even ever a real gas station. They set it up for the movie and film scenes and then took it down. So I went to that location and that's the same road that this is on, and we could verify it through Google Maps based on that mountain in the background. So I've literally been right here. I didn't pee in my radiator though. So this is at that corner, the intersection. The hill is to the back of these guys, and this is where that fake gas station is. So this is just the beginning scene where they're freaking out and taking all the most inappropriate of things, you know, radio and a bunch of sodas and stupid shit, and these primed cases. So we started this whole thing out with some stills, and this was the first still. So this is a still from that scene where they're going in and horking everything from Robert's dad at his gas station. And if you look at this, it says 308 Winchester primed case. So they were going to do some reloading up there. There was a bunch of 22s. There was a bunch of Winchester primed cases. And then there was a bunch of Remington something green box. What I'm guessing is they said, oh, you actors only have shot 9mm before? Why don't we put a bunch of empty cases in this box so you don't actually have to lift anything heavy? Because they figured nobody would take a screenshot like 20 years later and read the boxes, but we know. So here's a bumper sticker that was at a scene right after the 4473 scene, actually, or maybe right before, but right in that montage when the Cubans are first invading. And then they show this sticker, they can have my gun when they pry it from my cold dead fingers, in this font, really simple white font or black font on white background. And it's in a stupid paper bumper sticker, where a paper bumper sticker will peel like that. Like it won't come off ever, like a vinyl one will peel off and maybe leave some adhesive behind. These paper ones leave the paper and they're just impossible to come off. So it's a classic. You can have my gun when you cried for my cold dead fingers. Like that saying was sort of a thing back in the day when especially all the gun control stuff started happening. So they pan from this over to a dead guy, and the Generalissimo steps on his wrist and his dead hand opens and he takes his 1911, which sucks. But this bumper sticker is epic. And yes, I have made bumper stickers that are exactly like that, down to the font and the spacing. However, there's no way to know exactly how long they were, so made them approximately as long as they're supposed to be. But they're definitely long so that they can easily be made into this exact bumper sticker. And I'm just going to throw them in with every order that comes in. Oh shit! Every order that comes in today. I don't have a picture of them, but the problem is they're too long to really put in envelopes. So if you do buy one or you get one, it's going to be folded because I'm not going to. It's cost $7 to put it in a long enough envelope to not fold it. So that's him stepping on the guy's wrist to open up his hand and get his 1911 from him. This is a part where they blow the hell out of a GTO. I don't know what this is, some kind of car, Chrysler maybe, but shouldn't have had a Chrysler. This is a scene where they are shooting an RPG into the school because teachers should leave his kids alone. Woods, he's out there. This is another scene of the paratroopers coming in. It's messed up that I'm pretty sure they was using American parachutes at the time, so I guess, they couldn't find what Russians were using. That is the school mascot, the Wolverine, Aardvark's hat. So Aardvark, I guess, is a big fan of being on his football team and yells Wolverine later on in the epic scene. So as that girl is running away from the perverts at the gas station, boom, this is when the hidey holes open up and taking care of business. Let's see, this was at the very beginning, and they were showing us how the Genghis Khan. Somebody was doing some sort of a maneuver where he was surrounded people and came in. And they show Afghanistan. I don't know if there's some sort of irony there. There probably is. This is when the sick Russian son of a bitch blows away a bunch of school children in the beginning of the thing. This was way before all the losers started to do stuff like that. But so this wasn't that controversial other than being like heinous, right? Like, oh, that's how bad the Russians would be if they came over here. They would shoot children. That is a still from the DVD that I think it was on the back or it was used in some movies originally, but then again, horked because McDonald's didn't like it. All right, so that is my pictures of Red Dawn, and I figured that's oh shit, that was an hour. So instead of watching the movie for like an hour and 15 minutes, you can listen to this for an hour and understand why the movie's so good. At least that's some images from the movie. There's probably 9 or 10 other things from the movie that are awesome that you'd also want to check out. You should watch it again. We're going to watch it together as a thing, either on GunTube, just live, or one of those deals where everybody finds it and turns it on at the same time. Is it on YouTube right now? Does anybody know? That would be the easiest. We'd have stupid commercials to deal with. Does YouTube show the commercials at the same time? Need to go to YouTube free movies. Movies. Free. Can you search this? Stupid. Can you search this? Oh, you know how you can make people search it? Is to do a Control F. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's on YouTube right now, but we can find it somewhere to watch and then watch together. I don't really care about watching it with a bunch of dudes. I wouldn't mind talking to somebody, have somebody in the chat and BS about it, or have a bunch of youngins watch that, maybe not youngins, but new ones, millennials or 9mm shooters, or somebody that doesn't know anything good, and then maybe wise them up a little bit, show them why the movie's so good, the stuff that they might miss because they're too young to understand anything good. All right. Step side, yeah, that's what that's called in the back. Thanks. Now it's a step side. I think that's what they call that. All right. Well, I have a poll going on the Patreon. So if you're a Patreon, you can use the poll. I think it's for just Patreons. Otherwise, just make a comment on this if you want to watch it as a group or whatever. DJ's the one petitioning for Sunday afternoon. Here's why Sunday afternoon sucks. Because Locked and Little Latinos is on Sunday. And I don't want to sit around doing nothing while I wait around for that one. Or I have other things to do, basically. So we can do it Sunday. I can move stuff, but it's not necessarily the best time. But feel free to petition for it, and if a bunch of people do want to go for it, that's fine. Other options would be tomorrow or tonight. So, wait, yeah, tonight, right? Today's Friday. So we could watch it after the Daily Gun Show, or whatever it's called now, weekly 2A wrap-up because of the laws, or tomorrow. And we cork somebody tomorrow. All right, well, with that, I think we'll wrap it up. I thought this would be like 20 minutes. Turns out it takes longer to talk about the best movie ever made than 20 minutes. The other thing to do would be somehow go back and compare the crappy version, which sucks and is horrible, and basically promotes shitty things instead of anything good, or and then compare it with the good one, right? Or I don't know how to do that. I did it one time and it got pulled from YouTube. I think I did it on GunTube. And what do we do? I think I streamed it. It went off air and I screen captured it or something. I don't remember if Hangouts, well, Hangouts never records your screen, so I must have been screen capturing it And then it went off air, and I just kept going, and it just took forever. I think it was 2 hours long because there's so many things to stop and compare. So maybe we could have a chat to talk about the differences between them, where everybody brings in their favorite and worst things to compare between them. But whatever. So it's Red Dawn week. It came out this week in 1984, so I don't think that's an anniversary or nothing. But I do like to commemorate it because it's an awesome movie, and it means a lot because of when it was made and the significance of what happens in it. And I think at least a lot of people I know, again, were affected by it and consider it one of the, their favorite movies. So with that, we'll end this one. And what is it, Friday? So after this, actually right after this, it looks like a bunch of stuff is starting. A whole bunch of people cork each other at 4 o'clock. And those people would include, opening a thing here eventually to see what. Good. Don't watch the new one. It's stupid. It's literally just there to antagonize everybody else. So Echo is live right now.
21.
I've been corking him for half an hour. So here's a link to Echo if you want to watch dudes actually reload. They're real humans. Or Liberty Doll will be on later on today, I think. And Night Strike will be on, doing his Friday Night Strike. And Never Enough Ammo's live all the time. The channel formerly known as Budget is going to do something where he complains about stuff in 20 minutes. So that's coming up. I'll give you a link to that. That's something you can watch if you like complaining about the news. Night Strike will probably be complaining about everything. Where's his link? Boom. And does that start at the exact same? No, he starts an hour later. So for your convenience, he starts 48 minutes later. And I don't have a link to Liberty Doll. Does she have a show? Oh, here she is. This one is called They Can't Arrest Us All. So I don't know if she's talking about... oh, thanks, Gizzard. Yeah, duh. I don't know if she was talking about Ron Paul's thing. Why isn't Gizzard's his thing? Oh, you know what? Gizzard posted his thing like 6.5 weeks ago. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. So what happens is, here, FYI to people that think it's cute to post stuff like months ahead of time. Here we go. Watching this. There's Echo, who's live right now, little indicator. There's Night Strike, working off of that, right, in a half an hour or whatever. Here's the artist formerly known as Budget in a while, half an hour or something. And then here's Liberty Doll. See how it says set reminder? Where's Gizzard? What? Where's Gizzard? Where's Gizzard? Basically, I'm going to have to go back to whatever day he actually did post it, and it'll say pending. It'll look like one of these where it says set reminder, it's coming, but it'll be way back in my feed. So, FYI, pro tip. I don't know. Sometimes it's better to launch these things like an hour or two ahead, but days ahead, I think it gets lost in the shuffle. Now, if you're like Gizzard and you got a regular Friday show, people are going to search for it, so it's not that big a deal. But if you're just doing something like what I'm doing out of nowhere, probably not a good idea. Probably a better idea to post the thing and let it sit for a half an hour, and then let it go live. All right, so there we go with Gizzard show there. So you got a choice of 5 freaking things that are live, and all of those will pass your time until we do the weekly 2A wrap up at whatever time it is for y'all in like 4 hours or something. And then, there's only DJ, I think, maybe 2 orders at the store. So if anybody wants to order something from the store, you'll be grabbing some free stuff. I haven't posted too many pictures of the free stuff, but we'll be doing that next. And nobody saying anything, so I guess there's no questions. We will be back to pick you up later. Thanks for watching. I should have this ready faster.
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching GunWebsites.com.